After literal months away from Reverse 1999, I came back to play Chapter 2 of the story only to be left utterly impressed again. This game understands and nails so many storytelling elements that it feels like a true masterclass in the art. Because it took a player like me, who took a break long enough to disconnect from the story, it made me feel heartbroken one moment, amazed by philosophical parallels, and made to feel like I was watching something cinematic. I couldn't have been happier with what I experienced playing through Chapter 2, and in my experience, I'm always super grateful for those of you that hit that like button and subscribe. But how does Reverse 1999 leave a player like me singing their praises when it comes to storytelling? Stick around until the end to find out. Chapter 2 does a phenomenal job in building up from the previous chapter. It's a continuation and a fluid story. There's no feeling of a concrete cutoff or gap between chapters, which is always a great feeling. You can build up from the foundation you've set in any context, so how did they do so to leave me heartbroken? Simple. Make a great fucking villain. Ignore Forget-Me-Not and the backstabbing Drews III, because they introduce to you the Kingpin, Arcana, a woman that I am practically foaming at the mouth for because I struggle to find a flaw in her design. Beautiful, hollow eyes, and an intentionally cryptic speech pattern that changes depending on how direct she is. It is literally so cool and executed phenomenally. I know I'm gonna love every scene she's present in. However, our character, the Timekeeper, is stuck having a discussion with Arcana in a manner in which Arcana dictated, so we feel like we're in an equal. Not captured, not weaker, not inferior, but a false sense of choice and equality. A powerful and strategic manipulative maneuver, where Arcana asks us questions that completely alter the Timekeeper's understanding of the events and where she came from. So let me rapid fire real quick how this went down. First, Arcana asked why the Foundation created the storm, a question that has Vertin confused because she was taught that Manus created the storm. Then, bang! Arcana blasts Schneider's hand because she took too long to answer. Second question, is it true that the Foundation ran experiments on orphans of Arcanists? Then, same thing happened. Arcana blasts Schneider with another spell in front of Vertin. Final question, the one that puts the last nail in the coffin. The Arcanists that Vertin met along the way. How are they doing? A question designed for maximum amount of emotional damage. Final question that makes Vertin change her mind about Arcana's offer to join Manus Vindictae. However, Arcana doesn't stop with this torment, because even after she gets exactly what she wants out of Vertin, she now gives her her first task. Take out Schneider with her own pistol. Now let me tell you right now, that was my fucking heart dropping when this started. It was insane. I literally leaned back in my chair and went, no. No. Because I knew something messed up was going to happen. Because it literally did. Vertin attempts to refuse the task, only for Arcana to then brainwash Vertin into believing that she's helping a young Schneider pick oranges. Meanwhile, her body is holding up her gun and turning the real Schneider into Swiss cheese, creating a devastated Vertin when she finally comes to and rushes to the bleeding Schneider on the floor. And I honestly think the best way I can describe just how hard this hit me is that I had to step away. I didn't even like Schneider, but that was so well done and so sad that I genuinely stopped recording and stepped away from my desk. I didn't come back until a week later. Like, that's a heartbreaking moment if I've ever seen one. Hats off to you, Reverse 1999. Now, as we move further through Chapter 2, I was amazed by the philosophical parallels they put in. Put this into perspective as to what exactly I'm talking about, we need to look at the macro before the micro. In Chapter 1, we've seen a scene that looks very similar to a stock market crash. Tie that together with the vibe of the era, you can kind of piece together where we might be on the timeline. We're experiencing Black Thursday, the very first day of the Wall Street crash in 1929, an event that led up to the Great Depression in America. Now, there's a reason as to why I'm pointing this out, And for those of you that have already played through this and remember it, you can see where this is going. Because the rest of the crew that escaped without Vertin is located at Sothby's estate, where while they're distracted by trying to cure Apple's poison, here's something serious on the radio. There's a massive outbreak happening where a staggering and sickening amount of people are dying, a symptom that Vertin calls storm sickness. Because as the storm approaches, something in reality begins to alter. We've seen this in the prologue, when the rain starts to fall upwards as the storm approaches. So what did the storm alter? The storm made food and money swap places. So for those affected, when they sat down to eat, what they saw as food was actually dollar bills, coins, or gold and jewelry depending on their economic status, while real food looked like money in their eyes, which, given the era in which we're in, now that's just artistically masterful. It's a maneuver that forces the era to sort of look into a mirror. Not only that, but it asks you philosophical questions without actually asking them. Like, okay, you've chased money, now what? Or, can you eat money? What happens to society when they treat money as the pinnacle instead of a tool to be leveraged to gain necessities? Like, it's beautiful in a weird, twisted way, but beautiful. I adore storytellers that aren't afraid to really dig into ideals and values and incorporate them into their stories to give them depth. And from the look of things, R1999 loves to do exactly that. So I suspect that I'm going to have fun here, and I already am. So let's keep this moving. Speaking of fun, the climax of this chapter was pure fucking cinema. Manus sets up a refugee camp, quote unquote, with nefarious intentions in the forest that Druvis III watched over. But our crew move in on the camp to stop them, while Vertin successfully convinces Druvis III to turn over a new leaf. Vertin reunites with her team and gains backup from the Foundation to take on Forget-Me-Not in the Rain. Arcana shows up at the end to just bid her farewell, while Vertin states that she'll be back one day to stop her personally. Like, put the meme up. Cinema. It was fun, felt intense, and every element worked with each other to create a moment that I could only describe as cinematic. From the music to the rain and the dialogue, along with how challenging and intense the boss fight felt. Chef's kiss, brother. Now, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to personally thank you very much. I'd love to see you drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, but I want to keep up this trend with my videos where I ask you a question, something I did in my Punishing Grey Raven video. This chapter makes very big statements on the relationship between money and people. Yes, it is a time period specific question to a degree, but I believe it's constantly relevant. So I'd love to hear your input on the idea in the comments. How do you view the relationship between us and money? Are you money is the root of all evil, or money is fucking awesome and of course I want more of it? Or do you have a more nuanced middle ground view on it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I want to hear all of it. I would love to read what you have to say. I literally go through all the comments and read every single one whenever I get a notification that someone commented. But final thank yous. Thank you all of you that have been participating in it. My last upload too. I read all the comments, read all your thoughts. I love seeing that interaction. And thank you for letting me make you think. And thank you for watching.